Hey everybody, welcome back. Devin, the OG Original Grognards, and you're back down here at the Grognards table, setting up the scenario we're going to be playing for Lock and Load's World at War, Death of the First Panzer. Not really going to get into any gameplay on this one. I just kind of wanted to show the setup procedures and go over a few minor things. One of the first things I wanted to go over is really cool PDF that someone came up with on Board Game Geek. And like I said, whenever I start playing a new game, I always like hitting up Board Game Geek to see what kind of cool accoutrements and just gameplay aids I can come up with. This is kind of really cool. I haven't cut it out yet, but this is on card stock. But this is basically artillery strikes, so you can keep track of which artillery strikes. Because a lot of times when I'll play a scenario, I'll forget what artillery strikes I have, or even if I have artillery strikes at all. So, you know, I cut these out. It's like, all right, so I got two HE-23 strikes. I'll put that down, put like a little dice with a 2 on it to remember that I have 2 strikes, or if I have an MLRS strike, or, you know, what have you. So I thought that was really cool. I don't remember who made it. Honestly, I didn't even bother to look who made it. I just downloaded it. I know, I'm a bad person, so sue me. So, oh, there's that. One of the things I wanted to get into about kind of a gamey thing that happens and is really annoying is headquarters hunting. And this happens a lot in this game. But you have these headquarters units, and you need to keep your formation, whatever formation is for, within a certain command radius. And so, for example, all 171 Panzer Grenadiers, 1st Battalion, 171st Regiment, need to be within 5 hexes of the headquarters unit. Well, headquarters are generally attached to another unit. So, for example, if we had this in a stack, we'd have this headquarters attached to that martyr unit. Well, you can choose who you shoot at, and a lot of people will, of course, shoot at whatever unit has the headquarters attached. And that's a bit gamey because 9 times out of 10, you're on the battlefield, you're not going to know which vehicles are the headquarters vehicles. So I don't do that. I don't go shooting. I don't go blasting away at. I don't go headquarters hunting. I don't know if they're fixing that in the new updated version, but that is one huge thing a lot of people have commented on about being a real sucky thing to have to deal with. It's just the ease of knocking out headquarters units. Now, you can, if a headquarters is knocked out, you can get headquarters units back, but you got to roll a dice, and it's a pain in the ass to try to get back. And like I said, for the most part, if you're firing through telescopic sights, 500 yards away, 1,000 yards away, a kilometer plus away, you're going to be shooting at whatever target you can see, not necessarily the one that you think is a command vehicle. So, but that's just me. So, anyway, so we're going to be taking a look at the setup for Scenario 3 of Death of the First Panzer, Wittmans' Ghost. The one thing I don't like about it is it just doesn't give a lot of historical background for the scenarios. May 17th, 1985, and the Bundeswehr is recovering from their initial shock. Soviet forces have slowed to resupply and regroup. Sensing their opportunity, 3rd Battalion, 174th Panzer counterattacks. All right, that's kind of what the history is for each one. I prefer a more robust history when it comes to, but it is what it is. Mark Walker really didn't go into the whole flow of the war and what was happening on a grand scale in his games. I mean, he wrote some short stories, wrote a couple books, and that kind of explained it a little bit better. But when you have a hypothetical war and a hypothetical engagement, you should probably put a little bit of commentary of how the war started and, how it developed and how it came to be and what's going on an operational scale. But again, that's just me. I know, I'm a bad person for thinking that. All right, so Nato Forces, we've already got them pulled out. There they are over there. Whee! Yes, I have a messy table all over the place when I'm playing. Elements of 1st Battalion, 171st Panzer Grenadier, right here. Martyr HQ, Martyr. 2 Martyr units, 2 infantry units, 1 Milan, and 1 support of DPICM and 1 HE missions, which I've got right here, which was kind of one of the reasons why I felt I necessitated that I needed to find something to help me remember my artillery strikes. So that's one element. And then the other element is 3rd Battalion, 174th Panzer with a HQ Leopard, 2 Leopard 2s with an attached Panzer Lusch. Well, attached Lusch anyways. Armored Recon. Soviet forces, what we're looking at here, is what starts off on the board. And I know you can't see it. I could zoom in. Hey, look at that. We're zooming in. We can see the counters a little bit better, maybe. Can we focus it? No. Because for some reason, the closer you get to it, the more focus you lose. Elements of the 2nd Airborne Headquarters Unit, 4 infantry platoons, 181 millimeter mortar, 1 Sager anti-tank team. And these are the two that get me. The ASU 85 and the was that T12? Yeah, T12 anti-tank gun. The SU 85. Let's go ahead and bring it out. So beep, 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 beep. Back to normal. So this unit, I kind of get a chuckle out of this. Come on, focus. There we go. ASU 85. Those of you who may have played World War II games know that Su-85 is a World War II era tank. This is basically a World War... Well, not really. I think it was designed in... Actually, I think they stopped production of these things in '61. But it's the air mobile Su-85 self-propelled gun. It was designed to give air mobile units some armor support. Not really sure how it got to the air mobile units because most of Soviet air mobile units were dropped in by HINs. So, whatever. And then, of course, T-12 anti-tank guns, which again is another gun. It's a 100 millimeter smooth bore, if I remember correctly. Really long-ass barrel anti-tank gun that, again, they stopped production of in like 1969. Soviets did that a lot. A lot of their gear, they didn't upgrade it and update a lot of their gear a lot of times. So in 1985, you're going to be seeing a lot of World War II equipment, basically. But so that's the 2nd Airborne. That's what they start off on the board with, and then on turn 2, they get some reinforcements from the first Armored. They called first Armored first tank. Jesus, first tank. T-72 headquarters, 8 T-72 platoons, and an attached BRDM reconnaissance unit. Let's see if we can zoom in on those guys. Yay! There we go. Yay! T-72s, piece of crap tanks. Yay! Standard tank you're going to see a lot of in most 1985 situations. All right, so this is actually kind of an oddball one because this has the West Germans on the attack. Anybody who knows much about the Leopard 2 tanks know that they really weren't designed to attack. They were a defensive tank. So they're kind of on the par with an M1, but not quite on par with an M1. So it's going to be interesting to see defensive tanks on the attack against dug-in infantry and Soviet T-72 reinforcements. All right, so those are the forces we're looking at. What does this all mean? What do we put it all together? Alrighty, so playable area is the entire depth of the 1st Panzer map, which you're not really going to be using most of it, but anyways. 8 turns. Now, if you'll notice, there really isn't a turn track on here anywhere. And so a little trick I picked up from a buddy of mine a long time ago, I just take the turn track and just use, whatever hex row. So hex row X1, X2, X3, it'd be turn 1, 2, 3, so on and so forth. So it's kind of a ghetto way to do it, but you know what? It's a quick, easy way. I'm not going to be using most of that board anyways. And then for reinforcements, I know first tank is going to be coming on turn 2, so I'll just put that in the 2nd hex. Bam, there we go. Turn 1, turn 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, so on and so forth down the track. It's a quick, easy way if you haven't got a turn track. Now, the mounted boards, the ones that came in the full box sets, they have a turn track on them, so it's really easy to keep track that way. This case, we don't have it. This is how we're doing it. And I think it works just fine. Victory conditions. To win, the Soviets must control both Wittberg hexes at the end of the game. If not, the NATO side wins. Well, what does that mean? Well, there's Wittberg right there. They need to control both of those hexes. 2 town hexes. There we go. Hey! So, real simple, easy victory conditions. I like easy victory conditions. I've played some ASL scenarios that the victory conditions were just, oh my god, I need to be a quantum physicist to figure this shit out. Nope, this one's real easy. Soviets need to control both of those to win. All right, cool. Scenario special rules. Designated formation marker. Okay, so this game runs off of chit pulls for formations. You put all the formations into a cup, you pull them. And whatever you pull, that's whatever formation you activate. So first tank has got a formation marker, but there's also a designated formation marker. And this is one of the optional rules, that whenever the designated formation marker is pulled, it acts as a first tank marker. So normally Soviet units only get one chit that they can pull compared to most NATO units, which get two chits that they can pull, meaning NATO units can usually can do 2 operations per turn, whereas the Soviets are usually stuck doing 1 operation per turn. However, for this scenario, the first Panzer, when they come on turn 2, they actually have 2 chits, so they can operate twice in a turn. Let's see. Designated, placed in the cup at the beginning of turn 2 when the first tank formation marker is placed in the cup. Treated like any other formation marker, when the designated formation marker is drawn, the first tank receives an impulse. In other words, first tank might activate twice this turn, each turn, which is really good because playing the Soviet player in this game sometimes gets a little bit frustrating when NATO is running circles around you. Kind of annoying. But it does go to Soviet command and control. Sort of. I'm not really the biggest fan of it, but hey, like I said, I enjoy this game system, so you know it's one of those things I wish they did a little bit differently, but I don't have a replacement or suggestion on how to replace it, so you know, whatever. Special rule scenario, special rule 2: NATO fire missions can be called at the beginning on turn 2 from either headquarters. Due to moderate enemy jamming, if the German player rolls a 5 on the scatter roll, the called mission fails to reach the next higher headquarters and is not resolved. Mission lands normally on a roll of 1, 2, 4, scatters on a roll of a 6. Unresolved missions are not lost, but the German may not attempt to call them again the following turn. So artillery strikes can only be called in by headquarters units. Now I've already showed what one headquarters unit looks like. It says headquarters on it. So these are the only units that can call in artillery strikes. Normally, when you call in artillery strike, you roll a d6, 1 through 5, it lands on location. On a 6, it scatters 1 hex. And, you know, that does come into effect because there are artillery strikes like MLRS, which affects the target hex and 6 surrounding hexes. Whereas sometimes with normal high explosive, it just hits the same hex. So you do kind of have to be aware of what type of artillery strike you're throwing down and what its blast radius is. But in this scenario, a 1 through 4, it lands on target. A 5, enemy jamming prevented the artillery strike from getting through. 6, it scatters as normal. So less chances of an artillery strike happening for the West Germans in this scenario. All right. And then, kind of a silly one. Third scenario special rule. Wittmans Ghost. Any reduced Leopard 2 unit gains an extra armor die when rolling armor saves during combat. So, yeah, okay. Any Leopard 2 unit. So, you've got your normal full strength side. And then whenever they take a step loss, they get flipped over to their reduced side. And you can kind of tell because, well, not only are their stats reduced, but there's also this big white line other than, you know, what they are at full strength. So any reduced strength gets an extra armor die when they're rolling their armor saves when they get shot at. Which, you know, should increases, well, let's take a look. What's the actual armor rating? Armor rating is, oops, what did I do with them here there? So the armor rating is in the upper right hand, focus. Is in the upper right-hand corner. They get 4 dice and need a 5 or 6 to actually make 1 armor save. So if they're at their reduced side, they're actually 5 dice at a 5 or 6 to make the armor save. Well, let's take a look, make sure it's the same on the back. Yeah. 4 dice at a 5 to make the armor save. So it increases, it gives them, what, an extra 20% chance of having 1 armor save. Not that big, but, you know, it might come through. So those are the special rules. So, yeah, let's go ahead and look at setup. So the Soviets are going to set up first. Elements of the 2nd Airborne set up first in or within 3 hexes of Wittberg. So Wittberg, and since we know where the bad guys, the attackers are coming from, the infantry are going to be starting out in Valkenburg. 1st Battalion, 171st Regiment is going to be setting up in or within 1 hex of Valkenburg, which are those 2 hexes, and the Leopards are going to be setting up within or within 1 hex of Obetz. So West German armor, West German infantry. Okay, we got it. Soviets, we're defending right here. All right, so we got an infantry formation that's more than likely going to be coming down this road, or maybe up here and on the hilltop. I don't know why I would do that. It just makes more sense to attack down the road. Yes, because attacking down the road is so effective. And then the Panzers of Obetz, they're probably going to be crossing this little bridge here and then through the town of Tallinn, because I don't really think they're going to want to... I don't know if they can cross over. I'm going to have to look at the terrain effects. I can't remember if that's passable or not. It might be. So the Leopards... We would think they would move into the village of Tallinn and set up firing positions there in the rural, the wheat fields right there. Well, maybe they'll want to come this way. Who knows? So the Soviet 82nd start off in or within 3 hexes of Wittberg. So all right, that's the and so we know they're set up. And the first tank, they enter X9, I believe it is. X9. So yeah, on turn 2. Their counter goes in their formation counter goes in the cup, and they can appear on this road hex right here. So they're going to probably be coming along this road, up the hill, and then into the village. They might come this little gap right here, the hill between the hill and the stream, depending on where the Leopards have shown up. But that's basically what we're looking at. So setup wise. Let's take a look at what the Soviets can do right there. So we got 4 platoons of infantry. Let's go ahead and move these over here like this. We got 4 platoons of infantry, 1 headquarters. We got the Sager anti-tank system. We got the mortar. We got the towed anti-tank guns, and we got the Su-85s. All right. So the Su-85s probably are not going to be that effective against the Leopards. It's an 85 millimeter gun. It was outclassed by the end of World War II, especially really outclassed against modern day armor. So do we want to use those against the armor, or do we want to use those against the infantry, the attacking infantry? Well, you know what? First of all, let's just go ahead and take our infantry. Let's take 2 infantry units and the other 2 infantry units and stick them in Wittberg, because any other place they set up is going to be out in the open, and that's just a bad thing. So 1, 2, 3. I could set something up here, and that's actually not a bad idea. The question is, what do I want to set up here? Probably one of the anti-tank units. Probably the anti-tank guns themselves, because they haven't got a great range to begin with. What's the range on these things? Yes, I've played this a lot, but I always forget what the counters are. Yeah, they've only got a range of 4 hexes anyways. So probably a good idea to set the anti-tank guns up right there so they can cover, Tallinn and the armor that's going to be coming that way. What do we want to do with the Sager and the 81 millimeter mortar? Well, let's stick the 81 millimeter mortar back here. Headquarters, let's go ahead and put the Soviet headquarters attached to one of the units in that hex. And I think, it's been a while since I played, I think the HQ could call the mortar fire down as long as it can see some. So that's why we want the headquarters up there. And the headquarters has to be attached to one of its subunits. So we'll just go ahead and attach it right there. And the way I play, I'm not going to go infantry hunting. The headquarters is in that stack somewhere. I have, I randomly dice if a unit takes a casualty, and it could affect the HQ. Then, I roll chances. Sagers, if I remember correctly, Sagers are a crew-attached weapon. It's a support weapon, and you don't use them until you actually fire them. So you know what? Let's just go ahead and set the Sager off to the side for now, because I can't remember this. But I don't think I have to put that on the board since it's a support weapon until I actually fire it. Now the ASU-85. Part of me. What's the range on the ASU-85? Let's take a look at the range. Range is 2. Oh, am I reading that right? Yes, I'm reading that right. Oh, no, no. The range is the first number. I play so many games, I forget what numbers are, even with my favorite games. So range of 5 for AP and range of 3 for high explosive. And they're going to be rolling 2 dice with a target number 6 for armor piercing, 2 dice with a target number of 5 for high explosive, movement of 3, armor save of 1 dice 4, and then that's high explosive save? No, that's the assault factor. An idiot. It's got an armor save of 1 dice at a potential 5, assault of 1 at 4. So, honestly, I think you're only allowed 2 or 3 units in a hex anyways. So, you know what? Let's just go ahead and put the focus. There we go. Let's go ahead and put the ASU 85 in with the T12 ATGs. So these guys can cover any of the leopards that move out. Let's see, with a range of 5 and a range of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So yeah, they're not going to be able to snipe at the leopards as they're moving. The leopards are probably going to want to come down this road so they have a little bit of screen between them, and then when the leopards get into here, it's going to be kind of a close combat, close range knife duel, tank to tank. The infantry can get up to here easily before the Soviets can start firing at them. So yeah, that's a good place. I mean, that could cover. There is no facing in this game. It's just the platoon. They're in that hex. They can fire any direction they want. So that's good for covering this bridge right here. So that'll kind of force the West Germans, unless they want to engage them quick, to go around this way. Which by turn 2, when the first tank shows up, then maybe depending on where the leopards go, maybe the first tank will want to go this way. We'll have to see how the battlefield forms up. But I think that's a good setup. Of course, I say that a lot, and I tend to lose my games in the setup anyways. All right, so that's the Soviet forces. We've got them all set up. Now we've got the NATO forces, and we've got 1st Battalion, 171st Regiment. The elements of that start in or within 1 hex of Valkenburg. So again, the Milan is a support weapon, so I don't think we attach that until we fire it. So we got 2 Marauder units, 2 infantry units, and a headquarters. Well, the Martyrs are armored personnel carriers, so we're going to want to put the infantry in them. And we're going to need to attach the HQ to one of the units. So sometimes with these smaller scenarios, it's kind of real easy to do setup. I mean, I could have the infantry dismounted, but they've got a movement of 3. I don't know. Maybe I should dismount them before. Well, I should at least dismount them before I turn the corner and come around these woods. Yeah, we'll go ahead and leave them in the Martyrs for now. So let's go ahead and put him there in Valkenburg, and let's attach the headquarters unit to it. And then the other one is going to be on the road leading out of Valkenburg. Yeah, all right, that's a quick setup. And like I said, the Milan support weapon, I don't think I put that on until I actually choose to fire it. So yeah, there's 1st Battalion, 174th Regiment. That was easy. All right, so now we've got the leopards, and we've got 2 leopards, and we've got 1 HQ. So let's go ahead and break those guys up a little bit. And we've got 1 recon unit, so let's put the recon unit on that road. I think that's actually a good setup. Again, not many units on the board. Setup, you don't have a lot of options. So, yeah, we'll go with that. Leopard in each hex with the HQ and the recon unit out in front. There we go. Yeah, that's easy. So, yeah, that's set up. Overall flow of battle. Well, the infantry's going to push down the road, and the I think the armor probably is going to try. The leopards are going to push around this direction instead of going this way to cross the bridge here. I think we will take up here because I don't think we could sit off. What's the range of our leopards? Range of our leopards is 9 with armor piercing, so I could sit back and snipe pretty well with it. So I'll have to mull it over a little bit. Plus, I'm gonna have to cut out my cards, my artillery cards, so I'll do that off camera. I don't think you want to watch me Watch me cutting up the cards. Although I could probably make it entertaining and bloviate some while I'm doing it, but I'm not going to. So, yeah, I just wanted to get this video out real quick. Yeah, that's kind of the setup and my ideas behind the setup. I'm going to have to check the rules specifically. If the headquarters can't spot for the mortar, I may move it and then move the mortar into the, I may reverse the headquarters and mortar positions, but I'll have to check this rule specific on it. And then, like I said, the support weapons like the Sager and the Milan, they don't get put down until they're fired. Trying to think what else. Nope, I think that's all I got. Questions, comments, concerns, complaints, criticisms in the comment section. I'll see everybody next time. See ya.